All right, let's take you now back to our leading story. We go to the Union Buildings Live, where our SABC politics editor, Mzwandile Mbeje, is standing by. Mzwandile, any reason behind this latest delay for that handover of the report?
Unathi, I am as in the dark as you are, but of course the former acting spokesperson Tyrone Sill has just walked in inside the room about 3 to 5 minutes ago to apologize, to say there's been a slight delay, but of course it's no longer a slight delay now because we are going to an hour. And then he is basically saying at the moment they are not sure when exactly will this happen. But I can say to you, Unat, that the Chief Justice was here, well before 4. In fact, it was around 3:45. He was already here. I suspect there are some last-minute consultations they probably are having with the President, and perhaps in terms of how the logistics of it will be done. But clearly, this delay has created some anxiety. We have been hoping that at least 4 o'clock was going to happen, because this event today is supposed to have happened on Monday, but it was delayed, and then we were told it's happening today. In fact, it was supposed to be in Cape Town. It was brought back here. So it's clear, Unat, that this State Capture Commission has really been characterized by the delays. By the way, when the commission was set up, it was supposed to be 6 months, but it was extended to 18 months. It was extended to 2 years. It went up until 4 years. Now we're on the final lap. We are hoping it will be concluded soon. We are experiencing further delays. We don't know when it will be, but at least one thing certain today, Unat, is that this report will be handed over, because it's here. I saw the boxes from the staff of the commission, and the chairperson, the Chief Justice, is here, and of course the President is here. So clearly, no matter the delay, but tonight it will be handed over to the President.
It's then certainly clear that this particular delay, if you've seen the boxes, if you know that the report is there, has probably nothing to do with checking for errors, as we were told was the case. And of course, we know that the Commission has been very, very clear to say that, that there was no interference from President Cyril Ramaphosa, hence the delay. But as you rightfully say, South Africans are waiting in anticipation because of just the weight of what this particular report entails. But because it's a final one, people are obviously anxious to see, what the recommendations are, and also, of course, what President Cyril Ramaphosa will then do after he's seen these recommendations and actions and taken the matter to Parliament.
Oh yes, and especially again, as you say, when these documents are handed over to the President, we will not immediately know what's in there. So we still have to do a lot of reading. It's 1,824 in terms of what the Commission communicated to us. So even when it gets submitted and handed over now, we'll be nowhere near knowing what the contents are. So we still need to do our own work in terms of reading, in terms of finding those issues that will be raised by the Chief Justice. We know there will be a number of recommendations. In fact, given that what we saw from the previous reports, a number of people have been recommended for prosecution, so it goes without saying that something similar here will be happening. What will be of interest is the key figures that will be named insofar as who is supposed to be prosecuted and investigated further. But even that, Unati, I can tell you now, those who will be implicated are likely to say we are taking it on judicial review.
Mzwai, before I let you go, just in 1 minute as we wrap up, just talk to us again what, is contained in this particular report. We know that, of course, the findings of the SABC are also going to be in this report. Just very quickly, if you can wrap that up for us.
Remember, this is the final report, Unati. It's all-encompassing. Yes, there were some of the SOEs that had been left out in the earlier report, so they will be part of that. The issues around some, like you have mentioned, the SABC, so that would be some of the parastatals that would be named there. But also, importantly, the issues around the state security. So that is one to watch. In fact, you would even link it to what has been happening in the past few weeks when Arthur Fraser, the former spy boss, laid those criminal charges. Others jumped and said, well, he was preempting what was going to happen to him when this report is released. So we don't know how true is that, but the fact of the matter is that those key characters and other characters are likely to feature prominently.
I would imagine it is precisely because of Arthur Fraser that, you know, there are these speculations around this particular delay. And of course, as you've rightfully said, the Zondo Commission is saying that there is no interference from the president. But it doesn't look good. It doesn't bode well for many people, does it?
Well, in any situation, Unati, the optics are very important. I know some people would not pay particular attention in everything you do, so the optics do send a particular message. Right now, the kind of message that is being sent is that there's uncertainty insofar as how we want to give it to the public, how we want to hand it over. So clearly, people keep asking themselves, this report is supposed to have been concluded a long time ago. Yes, we understood because the enormity of the work was too big, but we are at the final stretch now. So clearly, you must have done everything to polish up whatever was outstanding. So what's the delay now? So those questions will always arise. But of course, we know the Chief Justice has other responsibilities, and of course, the President has other responsibilities. It's Wednesday, he was chairing cabinet today, so it could have been he was delayed in that in those meetings.
You know, just listening to our colleague Ubulelani Philip just speaking to opposition parties, and of course having listened to what the Congress of South African Trade Unions, the President Zingiswa Losi said, you know, saying that unions expect President Cyril Ramaphosa to act on the recommendations of State Capture Commission with no fear and favor. Of course, the DA leader John Steenhuisen saying they must act fast. What do we know about what is going to happen as soon as that report lands on President Cyril Ramaphosa in terms of the next steps and where South Africans will likely start seeing movement, particularly as those recommendations will appear in Parliament?
You know, this report comes at a time really when the president is not in a happy space, so to speak. Once the report is handed over to him, he has made it public that he will share it with the public, so he will make it available. That is the first step. But what follows there is that in the event there are some within the cabinet, for example, they are implicated, that's when everyone will turn his eyes and say, what is it that you are going to do, Mr. President? But remember also, we are in a year where the governing party is going to elect a new leader. The issue of politics will not escape what's going to happen. So he said himself, the president, he said, once the report is out, if there are people who will take action. But the question is, will you take action even when people take it on judicial review? And then what about when people then start saying, but Mr. President, yourself, you are facing particular allegations, no action has been taken against you. So he finds himself in a very difficult position. But of course, he's the president, he's the head of state, so he has a constitutional responsibility to act if there's a need for him to act.
Another element, of course, that we haven't touched on is, of course, the Gupta family, of course, conversations around their extradition, when it's going to happen. What is South Africa law enforcement authorities actually doing around that? Of course, we know that they were implicated in a number of state-owned entities, during the commission itself, through, they were, of course, before the commission itself, himself, of course, not appearing, but we heard various, evidence from various sectors around just their influence and how they were able to basically capture so many entities. The findings of the commission focusing mainly on the SAA, the Gupta-owned newspaper, the New Age, of course, SARS, Transnet, Bosasa, etc., etc. What is the latest as it relates to them?
Well, someone put it, I think that was very apt. He said, we had the main act, but the main characters did not feature. This commission happened as a result of that allegation, of that suspicion that the Guptas had taken control or had a massive influence on the running of state. So all sorts of allegations were leveled around their activities, but they were nowhere to answer for themselves, because as the commission was getting ready to start, they left the country, where we know they are now in the United Arab Emirates, where they have been arrested. So the extradition talks are underway, so we are not clear as yet, so when will they be finalized? But of course, you must know those do take a lot of time, because countries have their own laws, so that must comply with certain sections, so it may take a bit long. So we will, as we go along, find out from the Justice Ministry how far are you with these issues, because one of the things that you wanted done is done, so they are arrested. So what happens to that? So clearly, with them having not been able to answer for themselves, it goes without saying that they are likely to be heavily implicated. And of course, those that they may have worked together with, we expect something similar. But then again, how many people are going to take this on review, and how long will that process take? It's actually anybody's game at the moment. Yes, the report is finalized, but in terms of action and seeing what will happen, it's very difficult to even imagine when will some real, tangible action being taken around these issues.
While some take it on review, others remain mum. As we know, 2 cabinet ministers already implicated, saying that they obviously, opting to take those findings into review. So just for the benefit of our viewers, just to go back to where the commission actually emanated from, and of course, we can't mention, the lengthy commission itself. I mean, I think even the chair described it as a grueling 4 years. We have to mention that the commission was recommended in 2016 by the former public protector Thuli Madonsela. Just very briefly, take us through those steps that happened. Of course, you said earlier it was meant to be around 6 months, 3 to 6 months, and of course, 4 years later, here we are.
Well, it's a long story. There were allegations that a certain family, the Gupta family, were basically influencing the running of state. And then people like Musimaimane, for example, took the matters to the public protector then, which was Thuli Madonsela, to say there are these allegations that there is a business or there are business people by the name of the Guptas who are running the state. So can you investigate, because they are seen or they are said to have control of the president then. That was former President Jacob Zuma. So then the public protector investigated, and then upon the completion of the investigation, she said, you know what, there needed to be a lot more, because there were so many issues that needed to be followed. So as a result, in her recommendation, she said this issue needed to be looked at by a presidential commission. So she then recommended that a presidential commission be set up. Obviously, a presidential commission can only be set up by the president. But because at the time the president was part, or it was a conflict of interest, because he was also implicated. Mzwandile basically said a judge that will run that commission will have to be selected by the Chief Justice and forwarded to the President, who will then appoint that judge. So and that was then Deputy Chief Justice Zondo, who was then named to lead this commission. Of course, in her recommendation, Mzwandile basically said it would take 6 months. But before Judge Zondo took over, he realized that the work was too much, so he went to High Court to apply for an 18-month extension so that he could be able to conclude the work. It happened, but after 18 months, he realized that he had underestimated. He sought more extensions. We ended up having so many extensions. That's why today we are talking about 4 years. After 4 years, we have concluded. So we were supposed to get this report at 4. It's already 5, or after 5. We haven't got it. So it means this commission, as I said earlier, is characterized by delays, delays, and delays.
And to be honest, the only reason I kept you on this long, Mzwai, and thank you very much for that, was because I was expecting us at any moment to go live to the union buildings where that handover was going to take place. That was Mzandile Mbeje, of course, that is a politics editor for the SABC.